Alright, it's confession time. I spent most of the day and night yesterday playing Jurassic World Evolution from the makers of Roller Coaster Tycoon and Elite, and it's actually a rather good theme park management game, but with added dinosaurs and bloodshed and stuff. There may be a video coming on this game in the near future, although not today. Today is World of Tanks, because as I was playing Jurassic World Evolution, as is often the case when you get your teeth into a new game, midnight had come and gone before I'd remembered to A, feed myself, or B, do today's video. So naturally, I did what any responsible entertainment professional would do in that situation. I panicked. Luckily, upon opening up my emails, I found that Circonflexes had come to my rescue once again. So you can all thank him for today's World of Tanks video. So, apparently, oh yeah, howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Anyway, where were we? Yes, apparently there's a new Sherman Firefly on the block. A premium Sherman Firefly, the Sherman Mark 5C Firefly. It's a tier 6 Firefly, just like the regular non-premium Firefly, except it has better damage per minute, better gun handling, better top speed, better turret traverse, slightly less horsepower per ton, and somewhat less effective track traverse. So to all intents and purposes, it's a premium version of the Firefly that's basically better than the existing tech tree non-premium version of the Firefly. Yes, I know. Do try to contain your shock and horror. What are you going to do? Well, anyway. Circumflexes is streaming World of Tanks on Twitch last night. Nothing unusual about that. He streams World of Tanks on Twitch most nights. But last night he was playing this premium version of the Firefly. Now, as you can probably tell by the Scorpion G behind him to the left, this is a tier 8 battle on the Mannerheim line map. 357 matchmaking. He's in a tier 6 medium tank. I have to say, the first thing I expected when this battle started was tier 6 medium and a tier 8 battle. Let's not be too surprised if there's a lot of gold ammunition fired, but actually, well, there isn't. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, he does fire some gold ammunition, but not nearly as much as you'd expect of your typical tier 6 medium tank in a tier 8 battle. Pretty much the only time he loads the premium ammunition is for the additional velocity, in order to hit and penetrate a target at long range, which is quite surprising given the result that you're going to see. What's not surprising is how quickly his team crumbles, starting with that AMX 1375, who would probably have benefited from watching Monty Python's How Not to Be Seen. Yeah, concealment's only good until you shoot through it, and that was a rather obvious spot. Circon, getting the hell away from that corner, since it's obviously attracting some attention for the moment, and attempting to stay artillery safe behind the rocks here, but, well, when Bert the Avenger's shooting at you, there's no such thing as an artillery safe spot. Hang on, Jingles, the scores are even. I thought you said the rest of his team was going to crumble. I'll give them time. Speaking of obvious spots, Circumflexes taking a speculative shot at a relatively obvious camping spot on the opposite side of the map. Enemy T-54 Mod 1 spotted. We're going to be seeing a lot more of that guy later on. So far, it's really still anybody's game. But it's only now that the stupids on the team and the tier 6s are finally realising that they've actually found themselves in a 357 matchmaking tier 8 battle and are about to start killing themselves. Beginning with one of the KV2s who drowns himself. Meanwhile, the Hellcat on the team is so distraught at the loss of his comrade that he throws himself off the nearest cliff. Their only surviving light tank in the AMX-12T realises he's their only surviving light tank and commits suicide by S1. The enemy team, of course, is only too willing to capitalise on Circon's team's willingness to suicide and start slaughtering tanks left, right and centre. Speaking of left, right and centre, both the left, the right and the centre are looking pretty bad, but especially the left. Circumflexes recognising the threat posed by the enemy tier 8 mediums who only have to kill one KV-2 and will have a clear run at the base. But they needn't have really worried about the KV-2 because, well, he's only in a tank that has 910 alpha damage and he's facing a bunch of mediums. So that KV-2 drowns himself as well. Yes, I know, it's entirely possible that a fifth of Circonflexes' team who all just happen to be bottom tier in a tier 8 game, simultaneously and completely spontaneously all somehow managed to throw themselves off cliffs and drive themselves into lakes at more or less exactly the same time, completely by accident. No, I can't say that with a straight face. Well, it's possible, I'll give you that, but I'm going to go with the suicide theory. I'm a bad-tempered old gnome, and I don't have a good word to say about anybody, especially KV-2 drivers, who drown themselves in tier 8 battles. I mean, seriously, come on. Anyway, luckily for Circumflexes, he's not the only person on the team who's recognised the developing threat to this flank. He has been joined by the Progetto, the Italian tier 8 medium. But there are so many tanks on his team dead now, he really probably shouldn't expect any more help than that. And there goes the T-54 Mod 1. Not bad, that's his first kill. He's one of only 3 players on his team to have killed anything so far. Now they just have the T-43 to deal with, and you don't often see T-43s these days. They're not particularly popular tank, and hopefully it's just the T-43, although, judging by the way Circumflex's luck has been going with the team so far in this game, the T-43 probably isn't alone. Oh, yep, AMX 1375. We will be seeing more of him later as well. Unfortunately, we're going to be seeing more of most of the enemy team later. He's got the S1 on his flank. Tier 8 tank destroyer on your flank when you're in a tier 6 medium, that's the sort of thing you can do without. Somebody else on the team has actually managed to kill something. But don't worry, there won't be a huge amount more of that. Although, at this point, it's probably worth giving some shout-outs to the Progetto 46, who's just managed to kill the T-43, and the AMX 1375 was last seen scuttling off in the other direction, so the threat on this flank appears to have been contained. And the Cromwell on the team is also going to be having a pretty good game. We're not going to be seeing too much of what that Cromwell's getting up to as Circumflexes hopefully finishes off this S1. Yep, got him. Because there are just too many enemy tanks between Circumflexes and the Cromwell and the T-29 who's with him. They're pretty much on their own from here on in. Now the Progetto has headed out onto the flank, but he's kind of getting a little bit spanked because a pair of TOG 2s, a herd of TOGs, has just very, very slowly driven into view. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could look at the idea of a platoon of TOGs on the enemy team. One way to look at it is to say, yay, experience and damage pinatas. The other way to look at it is that that's 2,800 hit points worth of tank that needs to be killed, and each of them have a gun that's every bit as good as the 17-pounder on the Firefly. I suppose it all really depends on whether or not you're a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person. Just to put that to the test, in the time that it took me to say that, everybody else on Circumflex's team is now dead, except for the Cromwell. Now he's done all right here. He's just managed to nail the enemy artillery, and he's now coming south, hopefully to catch these guys in the rear. Unfortunately for the Cromwell, that AMX 1375 has anticipated exactly that, and he's heading back up to meet him. And that Cromwell, well, you can't tell from here, but he's a one-shot kill. And the 1375 pulls the trigger first, so Circumflexes is now alone against 4 enemy tanks. 2 of which are TOG 2s, who have 17-pounder guns every bit as good as his. And Circumflexes is at half health. Then again, so's that TOG. Then again, it's all a matter of perspective really. Glass half full, glass half empty, because 50% health in a TOG is almost as good as full health in a Firefly. And there are 2 of them. If only it were just the 2 TOGs though. He's got all 4 of the enemy tanks here now. There's a P-43, the 2 TOGs, and that AMX 1375 is just about to arrive and add his 75mm gun to the mix. Oh, there he is. And while the gun handling on the Firefly is pretty good, the one thing that is pretty bad is its gun depression. It only has 6 degrees. That's a positively communist lack of gun depression. which is kind of what makes this all the more impressive. I mean, you can see the knife edge that he's balancing on here in order to be able to keep that gun firing while still trying to take advantage of whatever benefits the terrain are giving him, and still being able to get that gun down and continue firing. And now there are only 2 enemies. Of course, right now, if that Tog lands a hit on him and gets a good damage roll, he can one-shot kill him. Oof, okay, that was, well, it was a better than average damage roll, but it wasn't good enough. Now he only has 4 health, and it's going to take him 2 shots to kill the AMX. The AMX can afford to take a hit and just sit there, aim, and make sure of the kill. His only real chance here is if the AMX tries to fire on the move. Because French tanks are really good at that, aren't they? Firing on the move. Yeah. Actually, no, not so much. So, good game. I mean, of course it was a good game. It's Circonflexes. Circonflexes pulls good games like this out of his arse every night and makes it look easy. And that's why we all hate him. However, do you remember earlier when I said, have a look at the damage that he's done and pay attention because it's going to be important later? You see, you haven't just seen a good game. You have witnessed history in the making. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the most damage anybody has ever done in a Sherman Mark 5C Firefly, as far as we've been able to tell, at least on the EU server. I'm making this sound less impressive than it is. This gun only does 150 damage per hit, on average. He's done 5,500 damage. That's 43 hits. In a tier 6 medium, in a tier 8 battle. Wow. You see why we hate him? A couple of important things to note from this battle, aside from the fact that you've just seen somebody do more damage than anybody has ever done in this tank. Look who's top of the team. Oh yeah, it's the tier 6 mediums in a tier 8 battle. And it's not just his team. Top of the enemy team, pair of tier 6s. One of them, a KV2. Let's just take a look at the KV2s on Circumflexes' team. In fact, they're in good company because they're not the only tanks on Circumflexes' team that didn't do a single point of damage. Look at that. Absolutely shocking. Nearly half of his team, 6 tanks, didn't do a single point of damage between the 6 of them. 3 of them killed themselves. You know, with a team like that, perhaps it's not altogether surprising that if you're going to win, you're going to have to do more damage than anybody has ever done in a Sherman Mark 5C Firefly before. But even Circumflexes couldn't make that look easy. I mean, good though he is, you could tell he was struggling a bit. And rightfully so. Teams like that don't come along every day. Well, okay, they do. But usually, you lose. That's the difference. In order to win that game, Circonflexes had to pull out of his arse the highest damage scoring game ever done so far. And I can't see anybody beating it anytime soon in the premium tier 6 Sherman Mark 5C Firefly. Remember where you were when you saw it, boys and girls, because that's it for today. If you want to see more of Circonflexes playing World of Tanks, then there's a link down below to both his Twitch and YouTube channels. But that's it from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and Circumflexes, what can I say? We hate you. But don't stop doing what you do. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.